Most companies think the way to scale sales is simply by hiring more closers or pumping a shit ton of money into ads. But in reality, the biggest leverage point in your business isn't the closers, it's the setter team. Because your setters are essentially the bridge between marketing and the closers. Because they're taking the lead that you've already paid for and they're turning into book calls in a real pipeline. And the problem is most companies don't actually build a predictable system for these setters. All they're doing is they're hiring people, they're throwing numbers at them, and really just hoping it all works out. So today I'm going to break down exactly how to build a B2B setter team that runs like a predictable machine, which is going to be both, measurable and scalable. So your setter team is the gearbox of revenue. Marketing obviously generates the horsepower, the attention, the traffic, and the leads, but the setters are what convert that into actual motion. And if your setter system is broken, your pipeline dies, no matter how good your closers are. And a well-built setter team allows you to, number one, generate revenue without increasing ad spend. Number two, create a steady and predictable pipeline. And then lastly, actually forecast output based on math, not motivation. And it's not about hiring more setters or pumping more money into ad spend. It's about designing the system that they operate inside. And every scalable setter team is built on three pillars. Number one is lead flow architecture. This is how leads enter, move through, and exit your system. And most businesses lose a massive percentage of their leads here because they have no automations, no routing rules, and really just no clear structure. And here's typically what good lead flow looks like. Every lead source, ads, forms, lists, and referrals feeds directly into the CRM. Leads are then automatically assigned to setters based on rotation, their territory, or available capacity. And then Slack or email alerts go out instantly when a new lead comes in. Because lastly, every lead status should be clear. The new leads, the leads that are contacted, the ones that are booked, the no-show, or the close. Setters should have never guessed which people to call. Your system should essentially hand them the next lead automatically because setters should do what setters do best, which is qualify leads and book them in for appointments. There should not be all these operational blocks of figuring out which leads are new and which ones are already called. And the biggest thing is this is typically where most setters teams break down is the actual capacity. Because if it takes 6 to 12 attempts to actually reach a prospect and a setter is making 150 dials a day, that setter can really only handle about 25 new leads a day before their follow-ups start falling through the cracks. And this is why you actually have to design momentum-based cadence to help with that. So number one is outside of speed to lead. If you're watching these videos, you should know obviously speed to lead is the most important. But outside of that, number one is recency. The newest leads should always get called first. Number two, frequency. Every lead should get at least 4 to 6 dials within the first 72 hours. And then number three, consistency. Each setter should follow a tight daily rhythm of outreach, follow-up, and booking. And once this cadence is structured, you can scale predictably because the math typically works. So operationally, you should have accountability. And this is really how your system handles communication and accountability between setters, closers, and sales management. Every event in a CRM, whether that's a new lead, a booked call, a no-show, or a follow-up, should trigger an automated response. For example, when a new lead books in, it automatically should mark as a set, remove the call from that queue, and then notify the closer. If a lead no-shows, the system should reassign it to follow-up sequence automatically, and then continue with a no-show sequence email or text campaign. If a lead is unqualified, it should be tagged and pushed out of the smart view or the dialing rotation. And operational flow is really what removes friction Because like I said, I come into a lot of these businesses and they have a huge operational block, which not only kills revenue, but it also kills time with a lot of these setters. And the biggest thing is if you're going to build out a good setter and closer model and hire the best sales reps, these guys want to sell. They're not operations gurus, so they don't want to have to sitting there, sift through leads, and build out operations. You want to ensure that your setters aren't managing chaos; they're executing inside a system that thinks for them. So the biggest thing is the system doesn't replace people. It's essentially empower them to do more. A properly designed setter system allows your reps to, number one, typically spend 80 to 90% of their time actually talking to prospects. Number two, actually follow a consistent process without guessing or improvising. And then number three, they're actually able to hit their daily KPIs because everything that they need is automated and visible. And when your system is tight, you don't need these crazy elite setters. You just need consistent people who can actually follow a process. And that's really how you scale. And the 5 principles of a profitable setter team is number one, recency wins. The newest lead always goes first. A lead that's 10 minutes old converts 3 to 5 times higher than the ones that are 24 hours old. Number two, frequency builds contact. And the first 72 hours are absolutely everything. You want to call, text, and email multiple times because the fortune's in the follow-up. Number three, capacity sets the limit. If you overload your setters with too many new leads or follow-ups, ultimately their pipeline dies. And you want to design your capacity around contact attempts, not just headcount. And then 4, continuity drives conversion. When a lead moves from setter to closer, nothing should be lost. The closer should pick up right where the setter left off, no restarts and no confusion. And then lastly, consistency compounds. The setter system has to run every single day. It's not about having good days. It's about predictable output through both structure and rhythm. So once you've got the logic in place, your system needs 3 operational layers to actually stay reliable. Number one, you want an automation layer. You want, Zapier or Make or N8N workflows that typically handle routing, notifications, and tagging. So no one really just has to manually do any of that stuff. Number two, you want a visibility layer. You want dashboards that track daily activity, the dials, the connects, the sets, the show rates, and conversion rates. And then number three, you want an iteration layer. Weekly audits where you review performance data, adjust the cadences, and essentially just improve the system over time. And when all 3 of these layers are really connected, you don't just have setters making these calls. You have a predictable revenue system that feeds your closers every single day. So here's the bottom line. Scaling sales isn't about hustling harder or hiring faster. It's about engineering a setter system that runs itself. When your lead flow, capacity design, and operational flow are all absolutely dialed in, your setter team becomes the most valuable asset in the business. You'll generate way more revenue from the same leads, give your closers an actual consistent pipeline, and really just build something that scales without stress. So if you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.